You're brilliant. Okay, so this is from Sophia. I'm wondering what I can do when they are arguing or there is a conflict or even when they are playing rough. I feel like I'm just yelling and not being heard.
I'm taking note again. Okay, cool. What to do when they're arguing? Okay, so I'm going to talk about the proactive and reactive again, but I'm going to start here this time with the proactive. So this is really hard because when they're yelling and there's conflict and they're arguing, and when kids can really, me and my brother, we hurt each other. We physically hurt each other, and that's not okay. And so the proactive really is sitting down with everybody. Who I don't know if this is a one parent family or a two parent family, and then if it is a two parent family, getting the buy in from both parents to really have a sit down. But this deserves a sit down because and if it is a one parent family, if you can get a relative or mentor or a grandparent or somebody involved to sit down, because you really need sort of that strength, I think, in like a conversation like this. But this is important, and it's something that's not going to change overnight, but you got to start changing the direction, because as the kids get bigger, it can get more dangerous or not. Me and my brother really became best friends when I was 13 and he was 10. And, but either way, we want to err on the side of caution and really be proactive about this. So to me, that really does require a sit down or multiple sit downs, but starting with a sit down and saying we need to have a serious talk, and turning off the phones and everything, all the electronics, and really being present for each other, and saying, look, when the goal of this talk is to really not argue so much and not have so much conflict. Nobody likes it. Nobody's winning with it. Nobody feels good about it. And I don't know what to do. What ideas do you guys have? So getting some buy-in, and you may know what to do. Depends on the age of your kids, and you may know what values you hold, that you want to guide your kids towards, but still bring it out of them. So like when I was a school teacher for 12 years, and I would have the kids make the class rules every year. I knew what I wanted them to be. I knew what I needed in the classroom, but I knew that they needed it to be theirs. So I would guide the conversation, and we might articulate it different, but I knew essentially what I needed in that classroom. And the same thing, you might know what you need, but like get it from them. And you can use a talking stick or something to set the tone where people, or timer and a talking stick, but people can't be interrupted, and you really hear people. And when somebody says something in that conversation that's mean, you don't interrupt them at that moment. You actually probably want to do the opposite, and say, tell us more. Why do you say that? That's an interesting comment. And obviously, unless it's dangerous in the moment, but our inclination is to say, don't say that, that's disrespectful, or that. But in this time, say, you're allowed to speak freely right now. Keep talking. We just want to understand. And really hearing everybody. So this is about security, secure attachment, secure relationship, so that people feel heard and seen and understood. So really starting with a real sit down, looking for what can we do for solutions, and see what everybody has and come up with a strategy to try. It's not written in stone, but y'all are going to try it for a week or a month or whatever you're going to do. You're going to really try it. Now, the first day, that very day, they're probably going to try it and it's not going to work. Just expect that. In fact, call it out in the conversation. Say, realistically, this isn't going to change tomorrow. So if this happens, which, what do we do if we're in the thick of it? And talking about that. Now, so that's more of the proactive, is like really trying to get some strategies and in place, but getting the buy-in and the ownership. Now, that also, obviously, proactively, you can do things like the breath work and things like this. But when people are in conflict, when the kids are yelling at each other and they're having conflict, they are feeling, like I said before, unsafe and threatened. They're not getting what they want, whatever it is, but to them, their body feels unsafe. So also proactively helping them understand what we talked about before, that and we don't have good body vocabulary, helping them understand that your body is having an experience. And that can help depersonalize it in a good way. Like if I say, oh my God, I am so stupid, Laura, I forgot, blah, blah, blah. Or if I said, Oh my gosh, Laura, my brain is so forgetful. I forgot, blah, blah. Those are two very different things. I'm so stupid is very inner criticky and very inner shaming, and but my brain blah 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 is more playful and more objective. So to depersonalize things, when they start learning my body is getting tense, I'm noticing I'm getting triggered by this, I'm noticing I'm going from red to blue to red when this happens with my sibling or whatever. So giving them language around that. Again, I'm trying to talk really fast, and I'm there's so much to this stuff, but for lack of a better whatever, that you want to have those sorts of conversations proactively about helping them notice what's going on in their narrative in their body as well. And then I wanted to mention, when you're saying that you're always yelling, there's no shame in that. First of all, I want to say that you're not the only one. I'm so glad you said that, because I think there's so much shame in the parent world, where you go pick up your kids after school, everybody looks so perfect when they're in the school parking lot picking up their kids, but that, and parents I've known a lot, they can be so hard on themselves, but they can really feel like they're the only one. You're not. There's no shame in the yelling, and I'm so glad that you said that, because I know other people in the comments are do that, yell as well, and don't want to be yelling. But have you ever seen when somebody's dog is barking like crazy, and then the person's yelling at the dog, "Stop barking!" And the dog doesn't hear the words, but the dog doesn't stop barking usually, because the dog is hearing, "Oh, my owner is dysregulated. I should continue to be dysregulated." So when we're yelling at them, we are, imagine that there are no words in the yelling. Imagine it was just loud yelling with no words. Ah, ah, ah. What they're seeing is, oh, my caretaker is anxious. We are not safe. I was pretty sure we weren't safe. That was why I was fighting with my sibling. But now I'm really sure we're not safe. Oh, and so we speak nervous system to nervous system all the time, and the yelling isn't going to go away tomorrow. But again, frequency and intensity. How can we make it less and less intense, less frequent, and then what can we do instead? So but again, you have to be proactive to sort of figure out your game plan. But in the time when you're yelling, to remember the thing is going to be hard. But how can you create a reminder for yourself? A rubber band on your wrist, a note, a sign, a sticky note, a thing on your phone. For if it's always after school, to set it for when you get home, that the reminder goes off, to get yourself centered and regulated. Because the conflict's going to start with the kiddos soon, and to think, and to maybe have reminders of to for whatever you're going to say in the moment, but to say, okay, stop, or what, however you, let's say you're to interfere and be like, stop, or you're to turn the lights out, or um, you were to do something really weird, like start laughing like crazy and do in a pattern interrupt of some sort, and be like, and they're like, what? We're trying to argue and she's laughing. What is going on? I don't know, but just think about how different ways that you can pop into this situation, and not do the nervous system yelling, because they're not going to hear the words that you're saying. They'll hear the words, but the logic and reason that you're trying to convey is not going to get through at that time. And then as far as the not being heard, I think that's usually not so much it is in the moment, but it's really taking time, creating space, honoring space every day to have everybody be heard, whether that's at the dinner table or individual time with everybody, but really building into your routine and your traditions and your family time, building into the routines time for people to be heard. Again, whether it's one or everybody as a family about things, really building in time and routines for everybody to feel heard. It doesn't mean everybody agrees, and you feeling heard doesn't mean you agree. It just means you feel heard. But that's what we want. We want to feel heard. It's so simple, but it's also so hard. But that's what we all desire. That's called secure attachment, secure relating. We all want to feel heard and seen and noticed and understood, and like somebody's got our back. That's what it's about. So, yeah, I can't hear you.
Sorry, lots of great proactive suggestions there. And I really love that idea about having that time to connect with your family members, whether it's together or one-on-one, having that connection time where you have a chance to be seen and heard. And you could even do that with your spouse. Set aside 5 minutes every day where you're going to talk and listen to each other. I love the planning in advance. So that your kids, do these behaviors in a calm moment. Think about, how do you want to respond in that moment? And I love the idea of the pattern and interrupt with laughing or whatever it is. But think about how you want to to respond, and practice that response. Practice it by saying it out loud or whatever. So when that moment happens, it's easier for you to actually do it in the moment. And then at the beginning, Seth, you were talking about having that family meeting, and it really sounded like Ross Greene's plan B with collaborative problem solving. So that first statement is like, I'm noticing there's a lot of fighting and arguing, and this isn't okay. And then inviting the kids in, like, what's up with that? How do you feel about this? What are your thoughts? So bringing them in, having them collaborate. And again, you talked about that importance of really listening, letting them express their feelings, and maybe they might say something that we don't like, that we might normally say, don't talk to me that way, but instead we're going to let them speak their mind and say, tell me more. That tell me more is I like that phrase. Thank
I
you
do
for
too.
sharing
Yeah.
that. Hmm.